100 Ways Your Child Can Learn Through Play is written by Georgina Durrant and illustrated by her twin brother, Chris Barnes. It's packed full of 100 creative and engaging activities for young children with special educational needs. The book enables you to have fun and enjoying developing your kids' skills, skill-based learning with them, from building biscuit construction sites and rainbow ice towers to playing dentists and nail salons and post office workers. The sheer variety and creativity featured on every page of this book means there's never a dull day with your children again. With activities for rainy days, some of which I've used very recently, in the garden, on walks and more, there really is something to learn wherever you go. Each activity is accompanied by a really beautiful black and white line illustration by Chris. And 100 Ways Your Child Can Learn Through Play is a great way to connect with your children with special educational needs while building their life skills at the same time. So the book is out on Monday. An even more exciting day now that there's no lockdown to ease out of. So what else can you do but buy the book? You can pre-order it from any major bookshop now. It's already had some really stellar reviews by Carol Vorderman and Rob Delaney. But if you buy the book, or when you buy the book, we'd love it if you could also consider writing a review from the website or shop you purchased the book from too. And extra special news today, there is a 20% discount if you purchase the book through Jessica Kingsley Publishers at the website jkp.com using the discount code 100ways21. We'll pop this in the chat box, and I'm sure Georgina will follow up afterwards with that detail for those who have attended. So we're now going to move on to hear from Emily Badger. So Emily, are you there?
Yes. Hello.
We just admit some more people who are joining so we can get as many people to hear about Georgina's wonderful book as possible. Hi, Emily. Thanks ever so much for joining us. So, firstly, can you tell me about the origins of the book, how it was proposed to you and what sparked your interest?
Yes, I'd love to. So when the proposal came in, Georgina had already had some discussion with another colleague of mine about the idea for the book. He'd been really positive about her developing it into a full proposal. So JKP were already aware of Georgina's award-winning blog. She had a great reputation within the company through book reviews and just general knowledge of the market. And I'd say what stood out initially was Georgina's engaging style of writing, which I had seen a bit of on the blog and later in sample activities she sent in, and also the way she'd flagged the skills children were learning from each activity, the parents or carers. And this really stood out compared to other competitor books in this space. And she was also regularly involved with the media, talking about the importance of play and SEN issues, which I thought proved she was a voice that people really wanted to listen to on this topic. And I also loved at one point she described the book as a rescue book for play, which she also ended up writing in the preface to the book. The idea that you'd kind of prop it up on your kitchen table with the kids, flick through, pick one together, and then dip in and out as and when needed. And I think that really sums up how the book has turned out.
Yeah, I absolutely second that. My kids have taken to looking through it themselves and picking things that they want to do. So much so that about 10 minutes before this, I couldn't find the book because the kids had put it somewhere and I didn't know where it was. It's fine. I have it. It's here. But there was a moment of panic. Can you tell me a little bit, Emily, about the development process that the book went through?
Yep. So once the proposal was in, we looked at the best way to pitch the book. So we wanted to distinguish it from the blog to offer readers, something extra. And Georgina had proposed organising the activities kind of based on situation. So that would be in the garden, on a walk, using crafts. So the parents and carers could find suitable activities, depending where they are and what they're doing. And it was originally titled something like 99 Ways Your Child Can Learn Through Play, Fun Activities for Children Under 5. So it didn't change much from Georgina's original vision. I think she had a really strong idea for the book. We did think 100 sounded a bit more rounded and appealing to people buying it. And we also wanted to keep the age range less specific because we knew that children of different developmental stages would get really great use in these activities. So in our marketing, we've actually pitched it as suitable for all children under 5, plus older children up to the end of primary with special educational needs, dependent on their particular needs and level. And the other big development, I'd say, was probably getting the illustrations on board. So as you mentioned, luckily Georgina has an equally talented twin who produced these lovely images for us. I'll just show you a couple from the sensory play section to get an idea. Hopefully you can see those there. And I think Chris's style goes so well with the writing. They really bring the fun and the creativity of the activities to life. And of course, one features on the gorgeous cover design as well.
Thank you. Yeah, anyone would think they were related. And of course, you did all of this during a global pandemic. So how did that change the process for you all?
Yes, it's been an interesting time for publishing, well, for everyone over the last year. We adapted quite quickly to home working, but it meant, we were suddenly discussing proposals and I was pitching the book at the board meetings all online only. And it did mean the contract stage was quite delayed as Georgina submitted right around those, tricky first few months when no one knew what was going on. But luckily she was really patient with us. We got there in the end. And I think it's been a great time really for this book as people have gone through these periods of school closures and homeschooling. I think it's helped make parents and carers even more aware of the importance of making time for play. And especially if you can learn through play, as this book advocates, it's a win-win. So while I admit it would have been really nice to actually meet Georgina face-to-face and to host an in-person book launch with you all, I think the book has still turned out beautifully, despite some of these obstacles in the way.
Absolutely. And yes, I think the lockdown and homeschooling has really enlightened, if that's the right word, parents as to the amount of time and energy it takes to support your children at that age. If you've been used, as I was, to having childcare and nursery and school, all of a sudden to be launched into that situation was pretty terrifying. And this really gives you such a fantastic base to go back to time and time again to find those creative ways to engage your children. So what are your hopes for the book, Emily? Obviously, millions and millions of sales, but what apart from that?
Yeah, fingers crossed. We're looking at the incredible press and all the amazing endorsements, which you mentioned earlier, that Georgina has helped to get for the book so far. Yeah, I'm really hoping that this reaches far and wide to all the parents and carers who need it. I mean, as you said, it really does help children have fun, connect with the adults caring for them at the same time as teaching them really valuable skills. You've got real life kind of interactions at the post office where you develop social and speech skills, but math skills at the sweet shop, and there's really creative craft-based activities, building motor skills. I just think this covers so much in terms of building skills for children with SEN, lots of free to create or just require materials you already have around the house. So yeah, perfect book for now. And I also know Georgina potentially has some ideas for future books, so I would really love to continue working together. She's been an absolute dream to work with as an author. So yeah, I just want to say congratulations on creating this lovely book. I'm sure it's going to help lots of people caring for young children.
Wonderful. Emily, thank you so much. It was lovely to see you. And we're now going to move to the main feature. No offence, Emily, but here comes the main event. I'm so delighted to welcome Georgina. So Georgina is a former teacher and special educational needs coordinator and is now director of the Cheshire SEN Tutor Limited. She's also a mum of 2 amazing children. She runs an award-winning site, the SEN Resources blog, which again, I'm sure if you haven't already seen it, will be circulated after this. It's www.senresourcesblog.com. And that provides learning activities, recommendations, resources, and advice for parents and teachers of children with special educational needs. And Twinkle Resources, another website I've become very familiar with thanks to lockdown. Twinkle Resources awarded the site as one of their top 10 SEN resource blogs in 2019. Georgina, hi.
Hello, I'm so excited. I've been excited all day, but I'm still excited. And thank you ever so much, Emily, for your lovely words. Almost made me well up a little bit on that last bit.
So, Georgina, we're going to do a quick Q&A. You've collected some questions already from social media over the past week or so about the book, and any new questions that are coming up, I'll keep an eye on in the chat. But for now, so do feel free to write some questions in that chat box. So for now, if you could just tell me what inspired you to write the book.
It sort of came on the back of the blog. So it's a long story in terms of when I started the blog and all of that, but the blog started as a way of me to sort of share ideas, initially just with the parents of the children I was tutoring. So initially it was sort of my way of sharing resources and activities that they could do with their children that might help, as opposed to like a blanket email. I just thought it was easier to put it all on a website. And then that sort of grew a lot bigger than I was expecting. And then the book sort of extended from that. I thought, oh, it's quite, my blog's all right, but you can't just go on it and find certain activities really, really easily. And if I put them all into a book, that would be much better. And I was also aware that a lot of parents who have children with special needs, they might go to, say, the Senko or the school, and they say, you need to help your child with, I don't know, fine motor skills. And they come away thinking, right, I need to do that. And then they're like, oh, but what activities? Might know about fine motor skills, but they might not know what exactly they need to be doing. And if you can spend hours on Google, can't you, and like Pinterest and all of these sorts of things, and you don't really get anywhere. And I just thought, wouldn't it be great if there was a book that you could, that you could just flick through and be like, oh, right, yeah, this one ticks the box because there's a box bit at the bottom. You could be like, oh, this one ticks the box for fine motor skills. We'll do that one today. And you could actually use it that way. So you could flick through and find all the activities that help with fine motor skills and then do those to help them. And the other part of it was I wanted to sort of empower parents. I think, especially during the pandemic, it's been really apparent that parents, myself included, have felt really guilty. We see other parents on social media doing amazing things with their kids and we think, oh God, mine are just playing. When actually playing is learning and playing is what children should be doing. And I think we need to move away from all this pressure and all this guilt. And I want to empower parents to realise that, you know, your children are learning so much through play, and just enjoy it and, you know, embrace it and have fun with your kids.
Thank you very much. And I think parents sort of take different roles in their relationships with their kids. I'm an organizer. I'm probably the disciplinarian. I wouldn't say I was great at coming up with games. Like my partner is much better at that. So this book has been brilliant for me to give me that confidence and saying, I know, we've got half an hour and it's raining outside. So what should we do? And it gives me the confidence to say, oh, here's a game we can play. And that's been really, really, as you say, empowering. We've mentioned the pandemic a few times, but if there wasn't a global pandemic, do you think you would have done this?
Yes. So I pitched it before the pandemic. I think more people were aware of the blog and the book and everything during the pandemic because lots of people were Googling, you know, what should I do with my child? Help, sort of thing. So the blog I got a lot more views on the blog during the pandemic. So I think it became more apparent what I was doing. But no, it was pitched pre-pandemic. So it's been around before then as the idea.
Great. And did you ever imagine how many people would be inspired by your blog and find it so helpful?
It literally was, like I say, just a place. I just thought, I used to get, when I was tutoring parents, they'd be like, oh, if you find like a resource that'd be useful for, I don't know, working memory, could you just let me know? And they'd be forever sending these emails. And I thought, actually, a blog would be a better place to put it. And then I'm not sending emails like in the middle of the night when I remember something. It would just make more sense to have a blog for people to access. And I didn't really think more people, I just thought of it really for the parents of the children that I was tutoring initially. And then it just became bigger. So no, I didn't expect it to. I'm pleased that it has. And I hope it's helpful. But no, I wasn't expecting it to at all.
And you touched on this a little bit, but, you know, give us your USP. Why is learning through play so important? Why can't they just play?
Well, I think they can do both. I wouldn't want you to not let your children just play as well, because just playing and free play is really, really important. But I'm sure we've all seen when children, they run out of ideas. There's often, sometimes children with special education needs, but children of all abilities, you know, you send that, you say, oh, go and play in the garden, or if you're at school, go and, you know, go out at lunchtime and play. And some children just get a bit lost and they don't really know what to do when they don't have any activities or any ideas of what they should be doing. And I just thought, wouldn't it be great if we had, you know, lots of different activities in the book that children could do, and then also it'll help them when they're older, so it'll help them come up with their own ideas. So the idea isn't that they can always just rely on the book, but then they'll become more playful and come up with more ideas of activities themselves. I've seen it with my own children. They don't have special educational needs, but they're at the same sort of age range that the book's pitched at. So they've tested out every single activity in the book and told me activities that couldn't go in the book because they were rubbish. They vetted them all. But yeah, they've really helped me with that and finding activities that have been useful. And I've noticed after they've read the book and we've gone through activities, they've also then gone on to come up with their own ideas. And why don't we do this activity? Now I've got my own activity now, Mummy. And I think that's even more magical than the book itself.
Yeah, they're writing your second book for you, clearly, G.
Yeah, absolutely. Apparently it's going to be called 101 Ways to Learn Through Play, is what my children have said, where it'll be the same book with one more activity.
One more activity. We've touched on age already, but and you've mentioned this, that it's not necessarily aimed purely at kids with special educational needs. So can you just give us a little bit more about who it's aimed at and who it's designed to help? Yeah,
I think a lot of there are other activity books out there. When I was doing my research for the pitch that I sent to JKP publishers, there were lots of other activity books out there, but a lot of them are just catering for children in general. And then as a parent of children with special educational needs, or as a teacher, you'd be expected to sort of adapt it for those children. And I didn't like the idea of that. I wanted to make a book that was suitable, was, you know, first and foremost is for special needs children. It's for children with special educational needs. And then we can, by doing that, I suppose it makes it suitable for everyone, because, yeah, so that was the plan, making it first and foremost suitable for those, and then it would become suitable for everybody in that sense. So yeah, it's suitable for preschool children, primary age children, older children who might be working at that sort of age. Anyone who likes to have fun, really.
Or just adults, maybe. I've just seen a little box chat pop up on the chat saying it's fantastic to see special and educational needs at the forefront of the idea of something rather than as a secondary option.
Absolutely. I don't want it to be like an add-on. I don't like the idea of that.
And do the pictures create, kind of inspire the children themselves?
Yes, I think the pictures are fundamental to the book, and my brother Chris is absolutely amazing, because he won't admit it, but I did ring him and asked him to do this, and twisted his, he wanted to do them, but I don't think he quite realised I wanted 100 illustrations in quite a short amount of time, and he's amazing that he did this for me, and I can't thank him enough. And yeah, each of the pictures, they're all like a piece of art in themselves. He actually gave me all the original copies of the pictures as a birthday present, which was really lovely. And I haven't even chosen which one to put in the frame yet, because I love them all. But yeah, each of them sort of helps children to visualise it, because nobody's going to want, a child isn't going to want to sit and read through the activities, are they? They want to look at the picture, see what they're expected to do, and then just go and play. So you need some pictures in there, and hopefully I think the pictures are brilliant at sort of helping children to visualise it, and adults too, helping us to realise what we're supposed to be doing, and gives you the end result. So yeah.
Absolutely. And you can't pick your favourite illustration. Have you been able to pick your favourite activity?
Yeah, illustration wise, the front one was my favourite, because that's how we chose it to go on the front, but choosing my favourite illustration is really, really hard, like I said. My favourite activity, I've gone through so many different ones this week of which one. It's been a question playing on my mind all week, and pretty much every day I've had a different favourite activity. Today, my favourite chapter is the last chapter, sensory play, because there's so many, I've had so much fun doing them, and there's so many fun activities in there, and I think they're a bit different to other books. But my favourite activity, what should I say? Probably this one. I don't know if you can see it, Stickosaurus X, which is basically where you draw an outline of a dinosaur on a piece of paper, and you go outside and you find some sticks, and then you've got to get them to the right size, and then try and make a skeleton stuck on paper of of the dinosaur. There's quite a few dinosaur activities in the book, I realise. But yeah, the reason I like that one the best is probably because I have quite fond memories last summer trying that one out with my children and just sitting outside on the decking, and we were sat in the sunshine and we were sticking these sticks down and we were trying to get the right size, and I just had lots of fun doing it. So yeah, that one's one of my favourites. I love, there's a frozen flower one where you go and pick flowers with your children, and then obviously not somebody else's flowers, but yeah, you pick flowers and then you freeze them in ice and then you look at them, and I've done that recently with my children, and just the look on children's faces when they see flowers sort of suspended in ice, it's quite amazing. They look beautiful. I like looking at it, but then trying to melt it and trying to see what you can do with it, hours of fun. You can't quite believe how much fun you can have from some flowers in some water. But yeah, really, really lovely activity. So yeah, there's too many to choose. There's 100.
Absolutely. It sounds like there's a big scope of different activities in the book. Can you give us a sense of what? So you indoor activities, outdoor activities, individually, group activities?
Go through the chapters. So first activity is in the garden. So that's what, like I was saying, so it doesn't have to be a garden, any outdoor space, but the idea being that sometimes children get a bit lost in the garden, not lost, literally lost, but lost in the sense that they don't know what to do in the garden, and they start sometimes misbehaving or just not doing very much out there or getting fed up. So yeah, the idea for in the garden was some fun activities to do outside with your children. And then the second chapter, it'd be easier if I went to the front to remember which chapters there are. And then the second one's on a walk. That one I find particularly useful as just to keep children entertained when you're going for a long walk, when they start saying, my legs are tired, or I don't want to walk any further, I'm hungry. And this sort of like a bank of ideas that you've got that you can help them to keep going on the walk and enjoy it. And I found the kids using them themselves. So we'll go for a walk and they'll be like, oh, let's play shape search. And we'll be walking along looking for leaves that are oval shaped and triangles and all different shapes as we go on the walk. So it can just help break up the walk. And I must stress as well, even though it's called on a walk, it doesn't mean your child has to physically be able to walk. It's more of a general term, as in a family walk. It's totally accessible for all children. Yeah, chapter 3 is sitting still. So that one is for all those really tricky situations where you've got to have your child sat still for a period of time, whether it be like on an aeroplane or on a train or in a car or at a wedding. One of those times when you're thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to get them to sit down through the best man speech, even if it's just for 5 minutes, so they can just sit there and then we'll go off. But how can I get them to sit there for those few minutes? And it's activities with very little resources, because obviously you don't want to be bringing, a whole craft kit with you to a wedding. But yeah, not very many resources, and you can just keep them occupied for a few minutes whilst learning as well. Double bonus. Then chapter 4 is rainy day play. So that's really fun. That's loads of imaginative play activities. So things like playing dentist, doing nail salon. That one's quite fun. Lots of different ones on there. Chapter 5 is crafts, but really sort of structured crafts, because again, I'm aware that lots of children don't like crafts. There are some that love them. I think it's Marmite, isn't it? Some children love crafts, some hate them. And I think children hate them either because they don't think they're very good at them, or they sit down with all the stuff and then they don't really know what they want to do, and it's a bit overwhelming. So there's a lot of structure to these crafts, and it shows you what you're supposed to do, shows you what to make, and there's an end goal. They're short, they're snappy, and should feel quite proud when they manage to make them. And then lastly is sensory play, which, like I said, is my favourite chapter. So that's good for if your child's sort of overstimulated or just needs to relax before bedtime. Hopefully that should help.
Fantastic. And how often do you think the activities should be completed? Is it better to vary them, to repeat the same one a few times over a period of time, or do something new each time? Is there any sort of suggested structure to how the book should be used?
I think just be led by your child, I think, or the child you're working with. I don't think there's a set way. Like, there's no set way to look after any child, is there? There's no manual, no way. So no, I don't think there is a set way. I think for some children, repetition can be hugely beneficial. So repeating the same activity and practicing skills can be brilliant for them. So if they want to, like children like to read the same book over and over again, don't they? And there's a reason for that, and it's beneficial for them. So if they love an activity, by all means, let them keep going with that and enjoy it. But also you can get like a lot more speech and language out of children if you're doing new experiences and new activities. I know if I go and do something new, I come back and I chat loads. Like after this book launch, my husband's going to be fed up with me because I won't stop talking for about an hour. So yeah, I think if children do something new, they want to talk about it or communicate in their way after they've done it. So there can be huge benefits for new tasks as well. So yeah, you know your child best. Go with what you think your child needs.
Great. Yeah, I can quote the Gruffalo. I think I pretty much recite it word for word nowadays. I just wish I had that power of recall when I was doing my drama degree. But anyway, can the activities be adapted for children with more significant learning or physical needs, would you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I've tried to make them as accessible for all children with special educational needs and disabilities as I could. Obviously, it's impossible to cater for absolutely every child in the world and make it suitable for everybody. But what I've tried to do as well is say there's like an alternative section. So for every activity, sorry, I'm rubbishing the camera, every activity has an alternative section, and they're sort of more supportive ways to help you do the activity. So if you're thinking, whoa, they're not going to be able to do that, there's some ideas in that bit to help sort of structure it or support you or give you like some other ways that you could do the activities. And on the flip side of that, there's also an extra bit. So if you wanted to develop more skills through it or you wanted to push them a little bit further, then there's the extra section. So yeah, but again, you're the experts of your child. And I think it's best to, you know, change it and think, I won't be offended if you think, well, that activity is not going to work for my child. I want to do it like this. And please use it like that. As Emily said, I like to think that it's like a recipe book for play, and like a recipe. If you're making a cake and your child hates sultanas, you're not going to put them in it. And I think it's the same with this. You need to adapt it. It's not going to be perfect. You need to think, oh, this doesn't suit my child. I know my child better than Georgina Durrant does. So let's change it and make it more suitable for them. So yes, please do that.
And Emily picked up on this a little bit, but do the materials that we have at home in our day-to-day lives suffice for the ideas that are given in the book, or does it require other resources to be purchased?
No, I pretty much everything that you need for the book is probably found in your cupboards. If you think all of the activities I tried during the first bit of a global pandemic when you couldn't even go to the shops, so I couldn't get hold of anything else. So there's nothing in there that you can't really get hold of from either your supermarket shop or your cupboard. The only thing when I was looking through it today and thinking, is there anything that I've put in there that you might need to buy, is googly eyes for some reason. I think my mum spotted this. I seem to have a bit of an obsession with googly eye activities, so might be an idea to walk by them. Maybe we should have thought about, you know, attaching a pack to the front. But yeah, there's a fair few activities that feature googly eyes in here, so yeah, maybe get some of those.
I randomly have a glut of googly eyes because during the pandemic, when we couldn't go anywhere, we ordered some from Amazon. Other providers are available. But about 200 of the things arrived. So we've got loads. I find them everywhere. I stand on them and they appear upstairs because I walked them up the stairs.
If anyone needs any for the activities, you're the woman to go to.
Absolutely, that's right. How do you introduce the activities to children? What's the balance between it being really child-led or more adult-led?
Right. I think if I was introducing it, I would have it, you know, propped up on your kitchen table and you sort of see what they would like to do today and choose it. Or if you had a particular skill you wanted them to sort of practice, then you could choose a few yourself and then get them to choose from it. I think children need to have a bit of control in this and choose which activities they want to. I don't think play should be forced. As opposed, it is quite adult-led. I would say it's adult-led initially. So the idea being that you're sort of putting the resources out there, you're giving them the stimulus to start it. And then if they're able to, then maybe you could take a step back and let them do it with a sibling or with a friend or by themselves and sort of see how they can do it by themselves. And like I was saying, the idea is, even though it is quite structured and adult-led, is that by doing these activities, you're not just arming yourself with fun play-based activities, but you're arming your children with them as well, and you're helping them to be more fun and playful and think of activities themselves and spark that imagination of what they can do when they're in the playroom, what they can do when they're outside, what they can do when they're sat on a train. So hopefully it helps both that way.
And are the activities progressive?
Not really, no. I suppose you could do an activity and then start on like the alternatives, so start on the supportive version of it, then do the main one, and then next time maybe do the extras and sort of progress that way. But they're not progressive as you work through. They're quite random, really. It's more, this is one area, this is the garden, these are the activities in the garden, and then random load of activities that I've come up with to go in that chapter, and then these are the ones on a walk, and then here's my activities for on a walk. So no, it doesn't really progress.
And could they be used in schemes of work to teach things like social, emotional, mental health for children that need particular skills in turn taking and sharing and things like that?
Absolutely, that's one of the skills at the bottom. In fact, I'll tell you what the skills at the bottom are, because that's quite important. So there's language and communication, literacy and numeracy, concentration, social skills, problem solving, motor skills, that's gross and fine motor skills, emotional regulation, sensory integration, and working memory. So there's quite a breadth of skills on there, and social skills is one of them. So when that box at the bottom is ticked for social skills, then you'll find sort of activities that do help with turn taking, help with that side of things.
Fantastic. Well, that brings us to the end of our pre-submitted questions. So we're going to move on to some from the chat. There are some lovely questions coming in. I spotted one really early on that I'm going to start with, because it'll give me time to read the rest of them, which was, you mentioned at the start that it was initially 99 ways that your child can learn through play. So what was the 100th?
That was this Victoria Woodham who's come up with this question as well. I think I read the question earlier. The 100th activity is glitter bottles. Ooh, where is it? There we go. Which is making a bottle with glitter in it and water. It's a sensory activity. What's actually quite funny is, even though it was going to be 99 and then it became 100, when my mum, who I should thank massively, because she proofread this like a million times for me over and over again as I kept changing things and be like, no, this activity is going, this one's coming in. She spent hours and hours doing this, and I'm very, 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 very grateful, Mum. Thank you. But yeah, when we were doing it, we then counted and realised there were actually 101. So before we actually submitted it, I had to take one out. So maybe that would have been the 100th. I can't remember what the 101 activity is, but maybe I'll just bank that activity for in the future, and maybe another book. Sorry, Mum.
I'm looking through it, and there's loads and loads of very positive affirmations saying congratulations and how wonderful people think the book's going to be and how excited they are, looking forward to reading it and to receiving it. Not that many questions, so if people do have questions, please do get typing them. Stop being so nice and start asking some questions. There's a really nice one here. Is what I love is that all the activities sound doable. I've had so many books that come with shopping lists of things you need before you can do the activity, and then kids are sometimes disappointed that we don't have everything that you need, or there's loads of pre-planning and it costs a fortune.
Yes, you definitely don't need to, like I said, just googly eyes. Apart from that, you really don't need very much. So this one, for example, which is a masking tape racetrack, you literally just need some masking tape. And even, I think I've even said, if you don't have masking tape, you could just use some sellotape. So like you can really, really adapt it. I'm sure or you could even use paper. Like you've got stuff for it. And that one's brilliant fun. We had great fun doing that. You just make a racetrack across your solid floor, as long as you're happy to do so. And then children can enjoy racing their cars across your floor, and it makes the most amazing racing track. So yeah, there's no real need to go out and buy lots of things. Don't worry.
Nice question here from Helena Renshaw. What are your children's favourite activities?
Ooh, we were talking about this around dinner. So we had a special sort of book launch dinner before the book launch, which was great fun, with balloons. And I asked them, what are your favourite activities? And they kept changing their minds. They agreed with me that the Stickosaurus one was fun. All the dinosaur ones are the popular ones. So the first activity, I think, is probably one of the favourites, which is the dinosaur fossil sand dig. So you have a sand pit, or if you haven't got a sand pit, just put some sand in a tray, or I think I've even said if you don't have any sand, you could use like couscous or rice or anything you've got in the cupboard that would be suitable, and then hiding sort of toy dinosaurs, if you've got them, underneath the sand, and then they've got to really carefully dig these fossils and pretend to be paleontologists to get them out, and using a brush and being really, really delicate. And I've even said, so this goes back to the other question about what happens if you haven't got the resources. If you're thinking, I haven't got any dinosaur toys, it even tells you how to actually make them, make some fossils. It tells you to go to page 82, where you can make some salt dough fossils. So all you need for that is some bread and water, and salt. So yeah.
Some flour.
Flour, not bread, flour and water and salt. So yeah, Everything can be done easily. But yeah, that's probably one of their favourites. Yeah, they love, when we're going a walk, they love doing lots of the different ones on there. There's a one where you collect all the colours. I think you said, Laura, the other day, you quite like that one, where you go on a walk and you draw on a piece of paper beforehand some of the different colours of the rainbow, so red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and then whilst you're on a walk, they could try and collect them. They could either pick them if it's suitable to do so they could stick on different things for each colour, or if it's not, they could take photographs, and then when you get home you could look at the photographs, and also for speech and language, that's fantastic because children love talking about things they've done, don't they? So they could sit with grandparents, for example, and be like, oh, look at the photos I took of this, this red flower that we found and this green thing, and it's just a really lovely activity, and I've really enjoyed doing that with my children. I think they've enjoyed it too. What's your favourite, Laura?
We had great fun with the golf one. I can't remember what its full name is.
Yeah, at the golf course, is it?
Lounge golf or something like that. You
have to
just need a big. That's it, at the golf course. So you get a big box, cut out some holes, get a ball, and anything that encourages competition with my kids, they love. It lasts about 10 minutes, and then everyone gets cross, including me, because I'm not very good at things like that, and I like to compete as well. So that one for us so far has been very successful. Here's one from Sally. Are there many activities that promote independent play?
Yeah, I think a lot of the crafts, you can sort of start them off and then sort of leave them to continue and follow the instructions themselves. And then all of the rainy day activities, all sort of the imaginative play ones, I'd say, Sally, would be really good for that. So you can sort of it's more setting them up with a game, if you see what I mean. So you're setting them up with like a sweet shop with real sweets, which we had lots of fun doing. You don't have to, if you want to give them fruit, you can give them fruit, but we did it with sweets and it was really fun. So they can set them up with a sweet shop, and then they have a go at, one of them being the customer, and then they've got to sell their sweets to them, and they've got to buy them, and they get to eat them, and that side of things. But yeah, you literally help them set it up, and then you can take a step back and just observe and let them play it themselves. And you'll probably find as well that then a few days later they'll be like, oh, I want to play Sweet Shop. So you've helped them come up with that new game. You've given them like a new toy in a sense, but better than a toy because they've made it themselves.
Absolutely. There you go, Sally. That'll give you time to empty that dishwasher, which is a part of that question that I left out initially. Is there a way for older students, so year 7+, or parents and teachers of teens, to integrate these activities into their learning, or any you might recommend from the book?
Yes, I think some of them could be. I think some will be a little bit young for them, but I suppose when you look at the extras section and how you can then develop it on from there, then I suppose some of them, yeah, you could do. They're all just having fun, and I think as long as a child enjoys playing, they're going to enjoy them, so it doesn't really matter what age they are. As long as they've got that appetite to play, you'll be fine.
Thanks to Sahara for that question. Will you be demonstrating some of the activities on your YouTube channel?
Ooh, probably not, because I imagine, I don't know where Emily is, but I imagine I'm probably not allowed to. But I do have a YouTube channel with various different activities similar to this, but before it, of like ways you can learn through play, and I'll be adding more to them. So there will be some different activities, not the same ones, because there's so many more activities, more than 100 that we can come up with. So yeah, there'll be some more being added to the YouTube channel, but they won't be the ones from the book. You'll have to buy the book to find them.
I think that was a question from Wendy. Wendy Wu. Good question here from Phil Williams. Which activity did you find yourself playing when your children had left the room?
I like that one. Quite a lot of the sensory play ones, because they're quite lovely, aren't they? Doing like sensory play, like solid and liquid. I don't know, can you see that? Mm-hmm. Solid and liquid, when you're making that, it's quite a nice, I won't tell you too much about it, but basically mixing water and corn flour together, and it makes this lovely sort of sensory gloop. And I did find myself, when I was sort of clearing that up, playing with it myself, and it's quite relaxing. It's a bit like if you played with kinetic sand. It has a lovely feel, and I'm sure we've all sort of played with that and thought, oh, that feels quite nice, and I feel quite calm playing with myself. So yeah, that one I've probably done.
Yeah, I've definitely not been practicing the lounge golf so that I can beat my son next time we play it. Let's have a look, some more questions. I think that might be.
Oh, I saw one which is the messiest.
Oh, which is the messiest? Yes, another from Sally. I saw that one.
Sally, for all the questions. There's quite the ones in the sensory play, understandably, are quite messy. Let's have a think. It depends what you define as messy. So the ones with water. So the ones with ice. There's 3 with ice. You can get a lot of water mess about from them. So I'd say them. But also this jelly rescue where you hide toys inside a bowl of jelly. That's quite messy. Understandably, really fun, but really, really messy.
I'm looking forward to trying that one, actually. We don't have much jelly in our household. I don't really know why. We've never done it, but I think that could be the start of something really wonderful.
And I like that one because then because obviously there's going to be some that you've got to worry if your child just put things in their mouth that you've got to worry about. But with the jelly one, as long as the toys you're putting in there are chunky, and it wouldn't matter if they did put them in the mouth. The jelly, it doesn't matter if that's consumed. Just as long as everything's clean, it doesn't matter if that's consumed. That one can be a bit of fun, having a taste of it whilst you're playing as well.
Yes, absolutely. Question here from Nikki Saunders. Have you started writing or thinking about the next book?
Not writing, but thinking, yes. I've got a few ideas. It depends how well this one goes, I think, as to whether or not JKP will want me to write another one. But yes, I've got a few ideas. I don't know when I'm going to have the time, but I will make the time. If I can do it during a pandemic whilst homeschooling the kids, I'm sure we can find the time to write another one. So yes.
Absolutely.
Ideas. Thank you, Nikki. Nikki actually is an author herself. She writes some brilliant books, and lots of them. So she might be somebody to talk to about writing the next one.
Absolutely. Emily looks very happy that there's another one on the way. She said yay. Question here from Susie Nyman. Do you ever take photos on your walks when you're looking at different shapes and colours?
Yes, definitely. I think there's a lot of power for children with having a camera around the neck, or holding a camera. They suddenly feel really responsible, don't they? And it's lovely. So yeah, I think taking photos of all the colours is brilliant. It also makes the chapter of on a walk, there's a few where I've said you could use a camera as well, because it makes it a lot more accessible for all children, because you don't have to physically go and find a leaf or do that. You can be taking photographs, whatever. So I think that makes it more accessible and more fun, and also helps children with the memory afterwards, looking through it and seeing what they've done, and they can sequence the walk and say, well, we took this photograph at the start and then we took this photograph, and they can put it in order. There's so much breadth to it, and I think it's just, a lot of those, it's like the starting point of it. And you could do almost a whole morning's activity just based around one of those activities. You could go for the walk, you could take the photographs, you could come back, you could put them all in order, you could talk about each of them, you could then tell somebody else about it, you could write about it. There's just so much. So yes, in other words, the answer to that is yes.
That's a really great idea. I think as kids sort of get into school and they start practicing writing, reading, thinking of ways to, our teacher, for example, with our son Oscar, has suggested that he do more sort of sentence writing. So that's a really nice idea that I'll be using this weekend. Like to write a sentence about the walk we've just been on, or write a sentence about.
And kids don't see that as work, do they? And I think that's what I want the book to be, is instead of you thinking, oh right, I need my child to do sentences, let's sit at the table and write some sentences, because no one wants to do that. Instead, let's go for a walk, let's do this, and then, should we just do some writing about this now? And it's a much easier and fun way and more natural way of sort of teaching children and helping them learn. We don't just suddenly sit down and write something for the sake of it, do we? We do it for a purpose, and I think it's really important to help children use that same technique and do it for a purpose as well.
Absolutely. And Laura's echoed that sentiment. I'm struggling to get my children excited to walk after so many lockdown walks. Can't wait to work through our way through all the ideas for the walks. And I agree, Laura.
Put it in your bag, Laura, and take it, not you, Laura, the other Laura on there, or both of you, and put it in your bag and then take it out and flick through. I feel like I've committed most of on the walk chapter to memory now for on walks, so that I can come up with them and be like, let's go and do this and let's do this. So hopefully that will help others to do that. It's nice to see someone said they're really excited to get the book now. Thank you.
There's lots of that sentiment coming through, definitely.
Really many of them. Thank you, everyone.
So I think that might have taken us to the end of our questions. You are so inspiring, Zoe. You're right. Georgina is so inspiring. Here we go. What are your hopes for the book, and where do you want to see it? That's a good question, Louise.
I just hope that it reaches lots of parents who need it, and schools that need it, you know, with parents and schools of children with special educational needs. And I hope that it helps, that children missed out on so much over the last year, and I just hope it helps more children have fun with their families and, you know, have a summer of play and just catch up on playing. And there's been so much pressure on them and so much focus and pressure on parents and focus on us all needing to catch them up academically. And, you know, whilst that might be true, they need to catch up and play a lot more, and they need to be playing with their grandparents and playing with their friends and playing with their parents and just having fun. And I just hope that it helps lots of people have lots of fun and giggles. And please, 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 if you do get the book and if you like taking photos, if you're okay with taking photos of your children, I would love to see people actually doing the activities. I've had a few already from a couple of book bloggers that got like early copies of it, and they've sent me videos of their children doing some of the activities, and oh my goodness, it's absolutely wonderful. It's making my day. So please please, or just let me know if they're enjoying it. That would be wonderful.
And good question here from David Martin. You mentioned the summer of play, Georgina. Sorry, everyone. I went to school with Georgina, and we all called her G. And I just haven't quite been able to not still call.
So every time Laura says G, I'm doing a little tick.
I think it's only 2 so far. Anyway, how successful are the activities for getting children away from technology?
Yeah, well, none of them have technology in them. None of them require you to go on technology or do anything with technology. So well, apart from a camera, but that doesn't really count as screen time, does it? So yes, hopefully they'll inspire children that played. It doesn't revolve around the PlayStation, doesn't revolve around screens. And, you know, there's no, please don't feel guilty for using screens. We've had to, we're using them now, and children have had to use them over lockdown, because what on earth would we have done without them? But now that we can do hopefully a little bit more, and the weather's nice and we can do things and play, yeah, hopefully we can pull children away from that technology and just help them come back to sort of more natural and more just playing and having fun.
Hashtag summer of play, Joe has said. Joe Watson said. I'm doing, I wasn't planning on plugging it, but I'm doing a catch up on playing sort of summer club on Facebook over the summer holidays. If anyone wants to join that, you can message me about it, but it's free. And it's, again, around this whole idea of playing over summer and just having fun and sharing ideas of what you're doing with your children and what fun ideas you'd like to do. So if anyone would like to join that, if you follow me on Facebook, you'll find I'm always talking about that at the moment. Fantastic. Nice comment here from Helena. I think giving children lots of other exciting ideas and parents, so they're almost as easy as technology to access, is genius of the book.
Oh, thanks, Helena.
And yes, I agree with Sally. Very inspirational, Georgina. Thank you. I think it's probably a good time to have a look at our competition to find who's going to secure a free copy of this amazing book, because obviously you all are desperate to get your hands on it now, thanks to the fantastic plugging we've all been doing. So, Georgina, did you have a number?
My husband's just sending it through now. He's in charge of bedtime. I bet no one's asleep, not because he's in charge, but because I think they're watching this. So, hi, children. But he was going to send me a number, so let me just see if he's, yep, I've got it. So number 9. So what we did was he's put in the number of comments into a random number generator on Google, and then it's just thrown out a number, which was number 9. So then we're going to count down the comments, and the 9th comment, not the 9th person, but the 9th comment is the winner of the book. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you get Rachel Holt? Is that, do you get the same as me? Let's just check.
I haven't checked.
Can you check?
I will check.
I couldn't count to 100 ways. I did 101, so I probably can't count to 9.
My chat box is really small. Hang on a second.
Rachel, on tenterhooks.
Yes, Rachel Holt.
Oh, congratulations, Rachel. We'll be sending a copy of this to you soon.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this evening. And congratulations once again, Georgina. It's a wonderful book, and I know it's going to change the lives of children and parents everywhere. So congratulations. And thank you again, everyone.
Thank you for coming. Yay. Bye.
Bye all.